So the next topic is managerial considerations. Here we assess what the leadership should do. Okay. First of all, he should focus on the problems less and more on the opportunities and the success. For example, if he has assigned some managers for managing the knowledge workers, reporting and storing in the databases, so how can we expand the business, what are the possible external market opportunities. Okay, so the leadership should focus more on that. And also they should have the attitude which view challenges as opportunities. Okay, for example, nowadays we are having the challenge, or at every educational institutions and knowledge management companies are having the challenge of online teaching learning process. Okay, so few may not be successfully implementing this, so it will be opportunities for others because they can tap the sources and more users, more students in their organizations. Okay, so they should, the leadership, the third quality of the leadership should be that they should focus on the future businesses based on the expansion plans, rather considering on the past problems existing and the past problems. In the past there may be some problems, but if we are focusing on the future, then that problems look small in magnitude. Okay, so the next topic is knowledge audit. So if we want to understand, it is an effort to understand where the organization stands in terms of knowledge management and knowledge assets. So how these knowledge flow is taking place, where it is storing the knowledge, how dissemination is taking place, what are the knowledge assets. These knowledge can be treated as assets because nowadays these are all protected by the copyright laws. Okay, trademark is also there. We can also ensure watermarks, permanent watermarks and other security features, so it becomes an asset. Okay, so a knowledge audit should be the first step in any knowledge management initiative. If properly done, it provides the accurate identification, quantification, measurement, and assessment of the tacit and the explicit knowledge. Okay, first of all, identification, because there may be a lot of hard and soft assets in the form of libraries, books, infrastructure wise, projector system, different cables, and human resource. But it is necessary to identify those assets, then quantify them. What are they are in numbers? We have to measure those things, and we should effectively use that for our benefit or for the benefit of the company, so that the tacit and the explicit knowledge is also quantified. Okay, for example, if tacit knowledge, if we are talking of the tacit knowledge, it can be considered as a person or as a senior manager in a company who may be about to retire. Okay, but if he has worked in the company for long, so he may be having such experiences which if shared can be beneficial for others or the young bloods of the company. So that tacit knowledge should also be quantified, and before retirement of that person it should be converted into the explicit knowledge for the future. Okay, so this knowledge audit assess what the knowledge assets are possessed by the organization, where it is stored and how it is disseminated. So knowledge audit can be defined as the process to identify the every knowledge produced in the organization, who is producing them, who is using them, and how frequent is knowledge used, where it is stored. So all this comes under knowledge audit. Okay, so we till now we have learned how it is produced and who is producing them with the help of knowledge workers and knowledge managers. We have how who is using them. For example, in the last uh, example, we have taken the example of the publishing house. So we were aware who is producing them, who is using them. But here one thing more is added: how frequent the knowledge is used. That is also good aspect. Okay, so why it is a good aspect, and it should also be quantified, because it also depends upon the success of the users. For example, last as in our previous class I have given the example of any, say, IIT coaching center, who has posted their notes, assignments, previous year question papers, etc. on the their portal, in which authorized user can access. So some of those things will be in the downloaded form, that can be downloaded so that the students can take print and study. And some of those things, those assets maybe for online read only basis. Okay, for example, some practice tests are there, and those tests are online and they cannot be downloaded. Okay, so there may be a plenty of such online exams. So if we are quantifying them, we can create a database that which user or which student has appeared in how many exams. Okay, so that reflects the preparation of the student. If the student has completed his course curriculum on time and on revision he is giving those papers or appearing in those papers, so that is the good judgment of the reflection of his success or failure. If a student is not appearing in those papers, so he cannot do the self analysis. So this is also a important part. So the knowledge management is shifted from the materialistic to the transferable goods approach and favored networking and the organization culture, stock taking of the overall knowledge. So overall, this knowledge auditing, it it is also based on the readiness of the knowledge organization. Ki how far the company is going to share their assets for audit. Okay, so if they are sharing more, it is good enough, so that the knowledge audit company can assess the knowledge flows, their networks, their technology, etc. Okay, because if the, for example, knowledge flow is there or not, how knowledge flow is there, there may be a different domains. For example, in our university, there is one faculty domain, one there is one staff domain. So if the higher authorities or manager want to communicate something to all the faculty members, so they can just type faculty@gcrcu.edu.in and send that message. Okay, so it will be received by all faculty members. Okay, so this is one aspect of the knowledge flow, but that faculty domain is restricted to only few members. Not everyone can float the message on faculty domain. Okay, so similarly, there can be a HOD domain. So knowledge flow in the form of emails, storage, cloud storage, website, it is there. Now it networks. What networks we are following based on the protocol, secure networks are there or not, ERP, how to and what extent we are using ERP. Okay, what are the intelligence agents we are using, what technology we are using. For example, if we are using dedicated servers, which type of cables we are using, what are the Wi-Fi centers we are having, how many users are connected to them. Okay, so all this comes under the supervision of the or under the surveillance of the energy, knowledge audit. So sometimes the company are not willing to share each and everything of their organization because it may include some sensitive knowledge, some copyright information, some tax informations of the corporation which may be hidden to the government, or some bills which are hidden. Okay, so that is why every company is not willing to share each knowledge flow. Okay, so when should we use this knowledge audit? It should be before starting the knowledge management initiative or project. Should be a preparative phase for the knowledge management strategy. And this is also useful when the senior management is not willing to give permission or embark any knowledge management initiative. For example, some knowledge management initiative is likely to be launched, or some any knowledge management product is to be launched. So before we are going to launch that product, the management or the authority want to be sure that it will be beneficial for the company. So they can opt for the knowledge audit, because on performing the knowledge audit they will get the true reflection that whether we want that new product or not. Maybe we are our existing infrastructure or our existing the product may be good enough, and we should not go for any future expenses. So in this way it is helpful. So how to use this thing? So a knowledge audit can be done in a combination of different methods which are given below. First is the online survey, focus group discussions, interviews of the key stakeholders, knowledge workers, knowledge management, focal points, senior management. So there can be a one-to-one or one-to-many interviews with them or group discussions with them. Online survey can be also done, because sometimes as we have studied different methods, for example electronic brainstorming, that sometimes the person is not comfortable if he is being interviewed one-to-one, or even in the group discussion he may not get enough chance to prove himself or to share something. So for those things online surveys are very beneficial. Similarly, workflow and business process analysis, how the workflow is being done from the knower to the delivery of product to the end user. What are the components which we have already studied? So workflow goes from the knower to the knowledge developer, then to the knowledge worker in combination with the knowledge base, and then the finalized product may be released to the champion for the delivery to the knower. Okay, that we have studied in our knowledge developers role. So what is the content analysis? That content is also to be monitored. It should not be any contents which may lead to some riots or some regional biasing, some religion based biasing. So it should be monitored that it is good enough for each and every sector of the society. So what is the need of the knowledge management practices? So the knowledge management practices is required because often our knowledge in any organization, it is quite possible that that organization is having the best practices, they are also having the know-how, they are having also the customer trust, MIS, also the culture and norms are also good, but still that the knowledge in the company, that knowledge based corporation can be diffused and unorganized. Okay, so there may be there, but if at any moment that knowledge is required, the concerned person or head of the organization or the management may not be in position to deliver that with the click of the mouse button. Okay, so if he cannot deliver in such a manner, if he has to call someone, if he has to get the assistance of someone, get some user ID password at the that very moment, so it means that that knowledge is in diffused and unorganized manner. So sometimes organization culture itself prevents people from sharing. For example, for the security reasons also, as I have just mentioned, that few domains are there, and based on those domains the knowledge transfer takes place in a particular manner. So it is again uh, the knowledge management practice. If the another need is that uh, who is knowing what? Okay, this is again a question which should be answered and it should be justified. So that can be identified with the help of the CV, because on looking the CV, the person can be reassessed based on his experienced and ongoing processes, that in which direction he is moving. Okay, and also it is a practice in few organizations that they might have taken the CV at the time of recruiting. That is good enough. That is not a problem. But if a person is working with them for say 5 years, 10 years, then their CV should also be recalled, because based on that ready reference of the CV, it can be identified in which direction that employee is moving, that knowledge manager is moving or knowledge worker is moving, what add-ons he has made apart from the job which he has assigned. He may be working from 9 to 5 in any college or university. So what else he is doing, or what else he has done which he has mentioned in his CV? So is that helpful for the organization? That can be identified. Okay. So now we will do some case studies based on these knowledge management practices. So first is the Dow Chemical Company. This is well-known chemical company. So they defined their knowledge management strategy to use their intellectual capital for the best utilization. So this company use value chain model, starting with the know ideas and know-how and other intangible intellectual capital assets transform into measurable, tangible intellectual assets through patents. Okay, so they were having the value chain model. So few of their employees were having some just idea of the products, some were having a bit more know-how, and so that intangible intellectual capital assets, those were transferred into tangible and measurable through the patents. Earlier no were much aware of this company, but when they were reflecting that we are having so much patents in this particular sector, so then their outcome is more realized. Okay, similarly in the Siemens company, the Siemens link their knowledge core competency into the organizational objectives and core products. So Siemens is the well-known telecom based company. So they focused on the core competencies and R&D to transform their knowledge into action. Whatever they were having as a core companies, they transfer into action and different products. Okay, so companies which are agile companies, so use this knowledge based next generation manufacturing model to develop the customized products. Okay, so these the companies which are not treated good enough, so they should go for the customized products of the customers to get recognized. Okay, Okay, so next is the data aware technologies. So the organization realize the full value of the knowledge only when they can be effectively transferred between the individuals. So the work of the Nonaka and Tekuchi. Nonaka model we have studied in the unit 2. So based on those Nonaka and Tekuchi model, this data aware technologies took help, and that was segregated into 4 components. First is the socialization, next is the capture, dissemination, and internalization. So socialization means to get the know-how, or you can say it is like the workshop, attending the workshop, seminars, apprenticeship, and the conferences. So what does these things do? See, if we are attending these things or being a part of this, so sometimes we may not get the full idea of what he is talking in front of us with the person who is presenting, but we will get a bit of idea or bit of spark out of it, or maybe we can catch few keywords. So when we are catching those keywords and noting down, then we can go for the more research on our own later. Okay, so then our interest is modified. Okay, then we get an idea that okay, that person who was presenting has done this thing, but now I will do this thing. Okay, that may be different from what he has done. Next is the capture. So this is the conversion of tacit knowledge into explicit form. One who has learned something in the workshop into getting the written report out of it. Third is the dissemination, which means the copying and the distribution of that explicit knowledge. And fourth is the internalization. So this is the process of experiencing knowledge from the explicit source. We have, when an explicit source is there, someone is sharing his experiences. Based on that, we can get some idea. Okay, so the companies are moving towards the new organization models for betterment of the company, and they are emphasizing on radical decentralization. Okay, earlier they were more concentric in nature, that this is the production department, this is R&D department, this is marketing and sales department, and so on. But nowadays these things are becoming decentralized. Okay, so that a person may be having more than one good enough skill sets, so that can be identified and used for the best utilization. And similarly, IT sector is also open to all, so everyone has the interest of that.